Hello, everybody. I'm Jesse Waters, along with Dagan McDowell, Richard Fowler, Dana Perino, and Greg Gutfeld.
Hooray!
It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. President Trump blasting fake news, while some in the media are proving just how biased they really are.
They can make anything bad because they are the fake, disgusting news.
The President of the United States is completely unhinged and getting worse by the day.
We'll have more on the president's fight against fake news ahead, but first, a new round of great economic news, as 157,000 jobs were added in July, and the unemployment rate falling to 3.9%. Trump touting all of the economic winning at his raucous rally in Pennsylvania.
Our economy is soaring, our jobs are booming, factories are pouring back into our country, they're coming from all over the world. 3.7 million new jobs, including close to 400,000 jobs in the manufacturing world. Remember? The trade deficit just fell, think of that, for the quarter, $52 billion. Nobody reports it. Why don't you report that? Republicans just passed the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country. And the Democrats want to lift them way up. Remember that.
The president also going after Democrats for refusing to build the wall.
We've started the wall, $1.6 billion. We're fixing walls all over the border. And we're going to start to get very nasty over the wall. You know, the Democrats, anything I want, and it's not even the Republicans. I don't know if they care about the Republicans. They care about me. Anything I want, they want to oppose. You know, I just figured out how to do the wall. I'll say, I don't want to build the wall, and they'll insist on building it. I just figured that out right now.
And Trump slamming, of course, the special counsel's Russia probe.
Now, we're being hindered by the Russian hoax. It's a hoax, okay? I'll tell you what, Russia's very unhappy that Trump won. That I can tell you.
That I can tell you, Greg. All right, so we've seen a lot of these rallies. He's really ramping them up over the last couple weeks. And this performance last night, I think, was probably one of his most charismatic.
You know, unlike you, he seems to be really energetic.
What are you saying? I'm a little low energy today?
Yeah, I think you're a little low. I don't know why, but anyway, I do feel bad for the critics because how can they spin bad news out of good? So I thought it would help them. I would help the people at CNN and MSNBC. There is bad news when more people are working. You're tearing families apart because mom and dad, they're spending less time at home. The kids are neglected. Low unemployment tears families apart. Trump is anti-family. The Republicans are anti-family. You can run with that. What the media is right now, there's a contrast here. Donald Trump is the good news conductor. You see his hands when he's up there. He goes, 46 million new jobs. And he doesn't. He moves. He's the good news. And the media are good news fire extinguishers. So he'll say, oh, look, economy added 52,000 more jobs. They go like this. Shh, that's not as much as he said it was. And then they go, oh, look, the job growth appears to be sustainable. Shh, you don't know that. And that's how they do it. The labor force participation is increased among the native born. They go, oh, that's just nativists. And so they're like good news extinguishers. I'm out of breath.
Well said.
Thank you.
It was a really good performance.
And we heard, I think it was Mika Brzezinski from MSNBC say the president looks unhinged.
That's the next block.
We're gonna
You are hungover.
And we're going to get that to, but what I'm saying
what happens when Jesse is hungover. You just skip to the next block.
It's been a long week.
Not true. What I was saying is that he seems very animated and not unhinged because of the great economic news. And one of the things we have for you, we have these manufacturing jobs. He's created almost 400 manufacturing jobs in this country since inauguration. I think Obama lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs, and these are really good, high-paying jobs. That's why he's so excited.
Yes. Do you remember my analogy where I said that, we might not have been on the 5 yet, but the press has to eat every day.
That's pre-Waters.
And the thing that they hate to eat is their vegetables.
Right.
Okay? They hate to eat
It's
their
boring.
vegetables. So if you give them dessert first,
Mm-hmm.
or within this rally, that's what they're going to eat. So I think their dessert is anything against the media.
Right.
When he talks about the Russia probe, when he talks about all these other things, that they're like, oh, I'm going to eat that first, and they save the vegetables for last.
So if Trump didn't give him all
right,
that
he
stuff,
should just give them
he should
all
just give
vegetables.
all vegetables.
And that's all they would have to report on.
Do you think that's a good analogy? She might be right about that.
No, I think Dana's actually right.
Of course I'm right about that. Obviously.
I think you're very smart, Dana.
Thank you.
The smartest person at the table.
Oh, well,
outside of
yeah.
me.
I mean,
Oh, wow. Not to a hot start.
No, I think Dana's right, though. I think if the president just focused, probably was in the teleprompter, and just focused on his job
I don't even know if he had a teleprompter.
No, there
last
was,
night.
there was definitely a
Doesn't look like
teleprompter.
he needs one.
But I think if he had focused just on the job numbers and just on the economy, there would be no fuel. But now we're talking about other things. But if you actually dig into these job numbers, which I did.
Oh, boy.
And there's a couple things that we found there. One, we saw that the average hourly wage went up, but we also saw that the cost of things have gone up. Purchasing power.
Here comes the extinguisher.
Yeah.
These are facts, though.
Extinguish the good news.
These are just facts. So I think the American worker should be worried that inflation is going up and their wages aren't going
You can
up.
always find something, right? Inflation.
Hey, go to the Fox Business League.
You know what? Well, the numbers are my dessert.
Yeah.
Push my glasses up. Let me pull my abacus out. This economy is in fuego.
Yeah.
It's growing at the fastest
Hey,
pace.
this is America.
On fire.
Thank you.
I think that's what it means.
Thank you.
That's what it means. Going faster than 4% last quarter, even faster in the current quarter, most likely. On average, we're creating 215,000 jobs every month this year. That is faster than the pace for the first 7 months last year.
Right.
90% of workers have higher paychecks because of the tax cut, and he has taken a pickaxe to Obama regulations like these car emission standards. That's going to save $500 billion for consumers. Even at the end of the day, if people don't like President Trump's performance, they watch that rally, they'll watch the next one and look at him and go, thank God it's not Hillary Clinton, who'd be standing on that stage going, I'm keeping the economy down, making you dependent on government, and I'm going to raise your taxes because I spend your money better than you do.
So, Dagan, here's a question. So as the business person at the table, do you think that we're moving, the feds have said that it's a possibility of we're moving into an inflationary period. Do you think that's true or not true?
Inflation is awesome. Inflation, because you know what? Because it means that your wages are rising.
But also
And
means
if
the
the
cost of
Fed-
things are going up.
But you know what? If you're making more money, then the cost of
But
things
if the
going up,
cost
then
is-
that is good news. If the people get their trousers in a knot about the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates. It means the economy is doing extremely well.
But if the
period.
cost is outpacing wages, isn't that a bad thing?
Well, it's not. We've had the fastest wage growth in this country in 10 years.
Nice try, Richard.
No, but
she
cost
is a
is
correspondent for
outpacing
the Fox
wages.
Business
No, it's not.
Network, and
It
she's going to
is.
outfed you any
The
day of the
average-
week.
the average
Let's
wages
move
is
on, though. I wanna-
2.7%,
Right,
and
let's
the
talk about
inflation is
something more
2.9%.
exciting than inflation. I thought that was great material on the wall.
Yeah.
And he did that before. Remember, he said, I know how the Democrats are going to fund the wall. We're going to put solar panels on the wall. And now this is,
That was I love that.
he doesn't want to build it, and all of a sudden the Democrats are going to jump on. That's good stuff.
No, you know what the thing is? These rallies are, I've said this, it's like going to see a classic band play their old hits.
Yeah.
It's like, you're not hanging on every single song, but you're seeing ZZ Top. So you get to tell people. So I think going to see Trump in these rallies is more about just saying that you saw him and that it's like a party, a social atmosphere. Yeah. I also compare the rallies. Do you know what a frontage road is?
Yes, I do.
Oh, good. I just want to make sure. It's like when the media is the freeway that's all backed up, and the rally is basically his frontage road. He gets off and takes the viewers past the media to the truth.
And we had a segment, I think, a couple days ago that the celebrities were going to come out and try to campaign against the president. And I think I think Trump is the only celebrity he needs. I mean, he brings 40,000 people to a rally. There's no celebrity that can get out there off script and light up a crowd.
It's very interesting to think about how they're going to combat this. And there are ways that they can, but it's not. I don't think they're going to match him rally for rally. And he said earlier this week that he's going to campaign 6-7 days a week. Like, he's happy to do that between now and November. And the thing is, he has the energy to do it. So he's like on the frontage road there, and also he has a motorcade now, so you don't have to stop the stoplights.
Yes.
Like you just like keep on going. So it's hard for them to figure out a way to combat that.
He has an easy pass, too.
So let me say this. I think you're right. I think it's hard to combat the Donald Trump-esque of the rally. But here's the thing. Donald Trump's on the ballot in November. It's Lou Beretti or whatever his name is. Because they don't even know the guy's name. And the rally was about him. And I think that's Donald Trump and the Republicans' #1 problem going into this election cycle. He has these rallies. He's the center of attention. He's the star. And then he leaves. And it goes back to normal programming. And these candidates are still down. I mean, Lou is down like 12 points in Pennsylvania.
At the end of the day, this rising tide is lifting everybody's boat and filling it up with delicious goodies. You saw in the most recent jobs report, the unemployment rate for women down, unemployment rate for Latinos in this country down, people with just a high school education down. Everybody is feeling better. And so they get to watch these rallies, love him or hate him, and just be entertained.
And I think, he goes into a local market like that, he'll dominate the news coverage. He raises a ton of money for the local candidate, and they're probably registering voters and organizing.
But also remember, this isn't necessary.
Democrats also raising
but
money.
Remember, President Trump didn't just go there for Lou Barletta. He went there for President Trump's re-election campaign. Pennsylvania is a state that he's concerned about, perhaps for good reason. His numbers are down there, so you'll probably see him in Pennsylvania quite a bit.
But here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. He has another rally Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
And it's during going to be in your hour,
Right
Jesse,
before me.
which means you're going to get a better rating than me, and it's going to be unfair. I'm going to try to call Trump and tell him to move it up to like 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Show up, move it away from 7 p.m.
Get the bat phone. All right. A stunning new example of media bias up next.
Insurance.
The nice part, we're doing better in all of these states than we did on election night. Despite only negative publicity, only negative stories from the fakers back there. In Helsinki, I had a great meeting with Putin. They wanted me to walk up and go like this. They wanted me to go up and have a boxing match.
President Trump again taking aim at the media as some members of the press continue to help him prove his point.
There's no way anyone who knows Donald Trump but is not bought in some way could watch him last night and not come away with a feeling that the President of the United States is completely unhinged and getting worse by the day.
Okay, Jesse, how is his rally last night different from any other rally? Like, I don't understand where she thinks all of a sudden something's different.
I think he was so good, she had to call him that.
Okay.
Because I think she's
Nice
jealous. She's jealous because it takes a lot of talent to do what he does, to be able to read a crowd the way he does. It's not someone that's unhinged. It's someone that's so focused and so in tune to the crowd and their reaction, the timing, the sensibility of the way your words are going over with the crowd, and the way you perceive the crowd, and if they're kind of losing patience or losing interest, to jolt them back at it. That takes timing, that takes precision. Not a lot of people are able to do that. So in order to discredit him, she can't discredit him on policy. She has to discredit him on his personality. And they don't have a very good personal relationship, so it's sour grapes.
Well, it wasn't just personality. Take a listen to one more soundbite from that show.
Is it okay? It sounds like maybe he's losing his mind. Is this a stability issue? Because I feel like some might argue when you see him off prompter, he doesn't really seem to be there.
What do you mean
doesn't
by
really
that?
connect with the reality of the situation.
What do you think?
So, Greg, it's not the first time that questions have been raised, and we understand Omarosa has a book coming out in which apparently she's says something similar about mental stability.
Who's Omarosa?
I'm not sure.
Former assistant
Come
to the
on,
president.
you know who it was.
In regards to Mika, there's a good rule that you can always use. Boring people think interesting people are crazy, and she's effectively boring. The only thing interesting about her is her last name. Let's be honest. So I think you can be harsh about her, because she offers no medical evidence. She offers had no medical expert there. She's not a doctor. To talk about somebody's stability, and by the way, in very serious tones. This isn't like, when Trump says, Bernie's crazy. He's basically trash talking, on the street. She's actually making a fairly serious accusation that could push someone to like say, okay, my God, we have to do something about this president. He's dangerous.
Yeah, like was it the 25th Amendment or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that? Dagan, what do you make of it in terms of not responding on policy, but being frustrated with his delivery? Is what I guess she was upset about.
Because everybody's lazy. They don't have to actually do any reading or understand anything about what's really going on in this country. You just come in and play like you're a psychiatrist in an airport kiosk. Again, what are these screeching, preening peacocks going to do when President Trump isn't in the White House anymore? They're going to go back to genuflecting and rump smooching to get an invite to the White House Christmas party. It's embarrassing. My dad told me, and I think that this is playing out in America. When I first started working as a financial journalist about a quarter of a century ago, he said, okay, honey, you are below repo men and people who work in carnivals and IRS auditors in terms of how people distrust you and dislike you. So enjoy that the rest of your life. And I think that this is nothing new. I mean, people hate press, and they just
Richard,
hate
is it
these press
effective
more.
with Democrats, though?
No.
It's not.
It's not effective with Democrats, but I think I think Mika's just she's one outlier, right? I think however we're in this conversation is because the president has basically made the media the punching bag, and I mean he's called them the enemy of the state. He's called
fake media.
That'd be people, not state.
The enemy of the same difference. Enemy of the people, and I find that to be very problematic. Go ahead, Jesse. I'm waiting for your pun.
I find you problematic.
I find you problematic too, buddy. But I mean, the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of people that go to the White House every day that do really good work, and they're really good journalists, and they don't deserve to be lumped in and called enemy of the people. You have people like Michelle Cinder at PBS. You have Abby Phillips at CNN. Good. You have our White House correspondents that are there that do good work every day, and even in their tweets are like, I mean, John Roberts is like, am I an enemy of the people too? And I think the president and the White House have to be very careful about their rhetoric, because they say they believe in the Constitution and the First Amendment enshrines.
Well, doesn't the
freedom
press
of the
have to be careful about their rhetoric as well?
The job of the press is to ask tough questions to the White House, and Dana's been in that briefing room.
I think
we're conflating two
people in
things.
the briefing room and people that are anchoring shows.
Mika's not in the briefing room.
Right.
She's like us. I mean, she has an opinion.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, there is something when you are saying that somebody is seriously mentally ill. There are people who are mentally ill, it is just, you don't play around with that terminology lightly. That's what I guess bugs me about it.
All right, President Trump unveils his new nickname for Bernie Sanders. And will the Democratic divide upend the party's plans for the midterms?
This is where...
Gotta be.
A fired up President Trump going after his theoretical 2020 rivals in Pennsylvania.
Let's say I'm running against Pocahontas or Crazy Bernie. I tell you, I got to hand it to Bernie. I saw him up there the other day. That hair is getting whiter and whiter, and he's getting crazier and crazier. And that guy, he doesn't quit, and that's okay. Crazy Bernie. He is one crazy dude.
This comes as Democrats apparently cannot agree on a midterm message. Politico reporting progressives are meeting right now in New Orleans with plans to push the party toward impeaching him. Dana, is that a loser?
Yes, it's a loser. I actually pitched this today because I think
that's why I went to you first.
Thank you. Good, thank you. There's so many people working in the Democratic Party who are trying to figure, like the third way guys, even the DCCC, the DNC. Pelosi says, we're not doing impeachment. We're not talking about it. We're not doing it. And there you have Tom Steyer, this billionaire, who's like, why isn't anybody taking me seriously? I was going to give you money. I want you to say impeachment. And they're like, please don't do that. I think that politics by these billionaires that are trying to influence the election, like Tom Steyer, it's not good. And then you have I should go to Richard on this, but they're frustrated with the Democrats because I think you haven't done enough to go after President Trump. I think that the Democrats do have time to figure out a midterm message. They have another month or so, get to Labor Day, and then they can drive it home, whatever they decide on that they're going to do. Turnout's really important. Turnout matters in this election more than any other. But if you don't have a good message, your turnout won't matter.
So I have a couple things. I agree turnout's very important. I think the talk of, so the Netroots, they're talking, the conference they're talking about is Netroots. Netroots is very similar to CPAC. It's, it's activist. It's the far left, just like CPAC is the far right. They have conversations. They come up with, far left things. I don't think that's where the party's going to go, but I think it's an opportunity for us to rev up the party. It's to build the big momentum. I think Democrats have momentum going into this midterm election. I think the issue that we're going to come down to, or boil down to if we're smart, and I think we are, is going to be health care. And here's why. President Trump promised repeal and replace. He didn't repeal. He didn't replace. And in October, when they announced the new Obamacare premiums, which are going to be through the roof, the one party you can blame for that is the GOP, and I think Democrats are going to run on the fact that healthcare is going to be more costly, and it's costly under Trump, and that's a very potent argument, and it's a real argument.
So far, Jesse, that's not the case. The premiums are not coming in nearly as high, even falling in some states, but they've been reported at the state level because the insurance commissioners have been finding out. And then also, you had this initiative this past week in terms of opening up the market and letting individuals buy short-term health plans, which are essentially against the law based on Obamacare rules, another rule that the Trump administration is rolling back. Again, you run on people's money, you're going to lose because the economy is so good.
Yeah, there's more cheaper options now with health care. After President Trump came out with these deregulations, they're slowly chipping away at Obamacare, but then Trump's like lighting things on fire and the media's looking that way and he's zigging that way. It's funny watching Bernie and Pocahontas, or he calls her Pocahontas. I can't imagine Trump ever losing a war of words against whoever the Democratic nominee is. There's no way Bernie Sanders is verbally equipped to go toe-to-toe with the president. I think, I shouldn't say Pocahontas, but I think Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren, is quick with the Twitter. She's tight. She keeps it focused. But I think verbally she doesn't have what it takes. She doesn't have the charisma. She doesn't have the game.
She
As you say, she doesn't have the trash talking. I just haven't seen it. I don't think it can deliver.
Neither of them are going to be the nominee, though.
Well, if it's Biden,
Joe Biden's going to be the nominee. And in the most recent poll, Joe Biden was
in the most recent. Behind the gym and punch him in the face?
Here's the thing. In the most recent poll, Joe Biden was up 7 points against Donald Trump.
Here's the problem. Their platform is impeachment.
That's not true.
Abortion and open borders.
That's not true. That is not true.
A winning trinity.
That's what we hear the most about. Every party has an angry fringe, right and left. But in the Dems, it's less of a fringe. It's the whole dress. But the party's going to have to pick a side. And one part of that party is going to be subservient to the other. So that's what you're going to see. I want to talk about the trash talking because I talked about how Mika was talking about the mentally ill. And you have Trump calling Bernie crazy. There's a key difference there. The trash talk, he's giving Bernie a nickname over his beliefs. The idea that he's a socialist in America is crazy. And it's always, socialism is a destructive practice that is chosen by incredibly rich people because they can survive it. All the rich liberals in California, all the rich liberals in New York City, they can embrace a socialist candidate or a very liberal leaders because they're wealthy enough to sustain the punitive policies that nobody else can. That's crazy. And that street talking, he's trying to stick that to Bernie as opposed to actually saying he is clinically mentally ill and I worry about the state of the country.
Can I just make one point?
No, Richard, you can't.
No,
I'm kidding.
No, the one point I want to make is that Republicans get mad when we call them the party of the rich because you guys, I'm not saying that you guys are the party of the rich. We get mad when you say we're open borders because we aren't open borders.
I agree.
Because Barack Obama spent a lot of money protecting the border. So stop saying we believe in open borders because it's just not true.
Keith Ellison wore a T-shirt that says I don't believe in borders.
That's one person. That is not the entire party.
Well, he's the number two.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Here's what we do keep hearing. Medicare for all. Medicare already is going broke in 8 years. Medicare for all is going to be $33 trillion. We would have to double the amount of money that we take from the American people in terms of taxes, and it still wouldn't pay for it. That's crazy.
But you're not going to pay healthcare premiums anymore.
One crazy dude.
Moving
Bernie
on.
or Richard?
Up next, parents forking over cash to help their kids get better at video games.
So I need. Forget about math tutors and sports lessons. Now more and more moms and dads are paying for video game coaches for their children. Parents are reportedly hiring professional gamers up to $50 an hour to help sharpen their children's skills so they can win the popular online game Fortnite. One mother tells the Wall Street Journal about her son, quote, "There's pressure not just to play it, but to be really good at it. You can only imagine what that was like for him at school." Greg?
Okay, I know a lot of people think this is probably a bad idea, but it's not. It's a great idea. Video games for a child are superior to golf because it takes up less room. Golf is a very selfish sport because it takes up acres and acres. It's better than football because you're not going to have any injuries. It's better than soccer because you can use your hands. But the most important thing about video games is that you have a child or a teenager who's playing it has a chance for a lucrative career. This is a huge industry, not just for players, but if you have tennis coaches, why don't you have video game coaches? With video games, it's an industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry that provides careers. Playing, designing, marketing, selling. It's a huge arena. They should do this. It's a great idea. You're by the way, if you're the video game industry, you know where to find me.
Oh, they do. Remember?
Oh, yeah, they got mad at me.
Yeah, they got mad at you one time. But I told them I said, if I were you, I'd just leave Greg alone.
Yes.
Your weekend.
Everybody says that.
Oh, well, okay. I buy that, but in terms of that's the industries of the future. If you're trying to think of what are the jobs going to be in 20 years when your kids are playing. But here's something else that happened is that it's so obsessive and it's also turning criminal. This one young 8-year-old was pressured into people that are playing online to go into his mother's purse, pull out her wallet, get her driver's license and her credit card, take pictures of them, and then send them to the people. Now, the people that asked for them had not done anything with them yet, so the police say, well, there's nothing you can do because it's not illegal to give someone's private information out, but it is seemingly getting a little out of control.
But you can't blame the game. They blame the stupid kid.
I'm not blaming the game. I'm just saying that people are obsessed.
If it was an older 8-year-old, that wouldn't have happened.
Well, college is unaffordable to a lot of people, so if you can invest $50 and they can get a $1,000 scholarship, I'm all for that. That's an investment. I worry about them frying their eyeballs, though. If you're staring at screens and you're wiggling your little fingers and you're in the house all day, I disagree with Greg. Go play golf. Go play soccer, even soccer. Go play football. I'd rather have my kid in sunlight, sweating with other people,
Jesse,
than sitting in a couch.
You're on TV saying this.
Fingers.
People are at home watching you. You don't want them to go outside.
I want them to watch me and then go outside.
Kids should be building forts and playing in a stream somewhere. What is video game? I played video games. You know what video games teaches us? It teaches us how not to look people in the eye when we speak to them. It doesn't teach us how to give a firm handshake. And it teaches us it's okay to wear pants with elastic in the waistband, and that is not all right.
That is not all right. You know, Jesse, this might be we might make history. I actually agree with you.
Wow. Well, then I changed my opinion.
I'm sorry,
Donald
you
Trump.
guys got to get with the times. There's no turning back on this.
But we didn't include the story that earlier this week there were parents who were hiring psychologists to come to talk to their children because their fear of losing was basically just overwhelming them.
So it's creating jobs for psychologists.
No, it's about I remember being a kid and going outside and throwing around the football and playing street hockey with my friends, and it built team building, camaraderie.
What if you don't like sports?
Exercise,
what if you don't like sports?
Childhood obesity is a thing, and you're sitting in front of a television all day playing video games and eating.
But if you play Fortnite for a long time, you might forget to eat.
But
this is a problem.
Those kids are happy.
But can we admit that these parents are paying for the kids' coaching in Fortnite because they're embarrassed by their kid because their kid can't play that well, and they don't want their friends coming over the house and saying, God, your kid stinks at Fortnite.
This is like those courses for, SATs.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Really?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think that
video games will actually make a kid smarter than studying for the SAT.
No, it doesn't make you smarter.
Oh no! Look at you.
Wholeheartedly disagree.
I completely disagree.
I have published papers on this.
The video game.
I'm lying, but I
think it's more important to know Pythagorean's theorem than how to play Fortnite.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Yeah,
I learned it.
I have that in my phone. I have that in my phone. I don't need to know anything. It's in my phone.
Super Mario Brothers much better for your brain.
Only in Greg's world.
I like Pong. I'm old.
Only in Greg's world. Don't go anywhere. Fan Mail Friday's up next.
Fan Mail Friday. right, polka, polka, polka. All right, the first question from Karen K. This is such a great question. I have to go to Jesse first on this one. Because you have a hangover. If you were on the front page of the newspaper, what would the headline be?
In a major upset, Waters wins the presidency.
The presidency of what, though? That's what I'm worried about. Dana?
How about in a major upset, Perino fired for her potty mouth?
Dagan?
A woman arrested for stabbing the tires of all 4 vehicles when individual cuts woman off.
Oh, road rage. Don't cut you off.
All right. What's yours?
Fowler finishes first. An alliteration.
Oh, very good.
Always good for headlines.
Mine would be a local man arrested for walking dog without a dog. All right. Frenchie World.
She gets a question every time.
You recognize the people.
I do.
Well,
Jessie has good questions.
Jessie has a photographic mind. What question would you ask a fortune teller, Dagan?
If I eat this spaghetti, am I going to have a stomachache tomorrow?
Well, that's a good one. Mine would be, well, I get the runs.
Okay.
I need a fortune teller for my stomach, Richard. How about you?
Oh.
You know me.
Come back to me on this one. I have to think.
No passing in this
Wow,
game
no
show.
passing.
There's no
You gotta
passing.
squirm live. Let's go.
You need to play more video games.
Everybody be quiet.
What color will I wear on Monday?
Oh,
Easy.
Dana?
I think, will I retire by age 55?
Ooh, interesting.
wanna
So it's
know
about
that.
3 years away. We'll be right back. No, I'm kidding.
Dana, you don't look at age. You don't look a day over 22.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse?
Well done. I would not ask a fortune teller anything. I'm terrified of fortune tellers. I don't trust them, and I'm scared of
Well,
them because I don't want them to tell me something
Also, I just
bad.
said this, I don't believe any of it.
Yeah.
I don't believe them either.
No.
You know, I would ask a fortune teller, what time do you get off work?
Do you think they'd know?
I don't know. If they don't, they're not very good at their job, are they? If they don't know when they're getting off, like, could be a busy night, I don't know, then you're a phony. That's the trick question
I
you
just thought if you were
ask
a fortune
them.
teller, you'd be rich because you'd be able to know what's happening. Like,
Yeah, that's why they're always dressed poorly.
Yes.
Yeah, fortune tellers should be like zillionaires. Anyway, it's good. It's a good thing to do on a first date. You know, you're walking down the street, you sit down.
That's not a good thing. No.
Yeah.
Greg, that's not a good thing on a first date.
Really?
Guys.
You save so much money.
Not a good thing on a first
No.
date. Don't do it.
So, the questions you could ask anyway. Christine D. about the date. Anyway, what sound or noise do you hate?
So many.
I know what you hate. You hate when my phone pings during the show.
Oh, the pinging doesn't bother me because it's not constant, but anyone who has iPhone clicks, like
Yeah.
you can hear that. I don't like listening to people type. I don't like listening to people chewing. I don't
Ugh.
like listening to their headphones when you can kind of hear the music, but not really. I don't like people tapping their pens. I don't like people
Kicking the table.
and they have change in their pocket.
Oh, I love that.
I hate that.
The sound of money. Oh, that makes me hot. I'm a capitalist. Jiggle that change. Richard?
I actually have an answer for this one.
Yeah.
The sound of chewing watercress, like that sound that the watercress makes. Oh.
Really?
Oh, it makes.
But
Oh,
not,
it's so
but not
specific.
romaine, not
No, no, it's
kale,
just the sound of
just
watercress.
watercress.
Huh.
oh, it makes my skin crawl.
Dagan?
The pile driver across the street from
Oh,
my
yeah.
apartment and Hillary Clinton laughing.
Did I already ask you, Jesse?
Yeah.
What? Did I? No, I didn't. I don't
you
think
did
I
not.
No, I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't like the noise you make, Greg.
Which one? Oh, my laugh. Wow, now we're getting deeply personal here.
That hurt.
I hate the sound of a child asking, Mommy, why do we have war?
Yeah.
That's
so annoying.
That's the question. No, you know what I hate? People on Twitter. The noise that I hear on Twitter when people put questions into their kids' mouths.
Oh,
like,
I hate
Billy
that.
came up to me and says, why is Donald Trump so mean? It's like it never happened. I hate that sound. I hate a lot of things, by the way. Donald F. says, ooh, this is a good one. Who is the most interesting person you've ever interviewed, Dagan?
Oh, God, you got to go to me first.
Well, I'm looking right at you.
Met or interviewed?
Interviewed.
Interviewed. I can't change the questions. I get fired.
Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, it's a good one.
That's a good one. He went to the moon, I think, right? Somebody get back to me. Yes. Producer says he went to the moon.
Okay.
All right. So we'll check that in the break. Dana?
I'm going to say Dirk Bentley.
Of course you would.
I'm going to say Dr. Sebastian Gorka. He fascinates me to this day. So many questions.
He was supposed to be on my show, but then he
Fascinating.
changed his flight, and that flight got canceled. Gorka.
Gorka.
And so I'm the consolation prize.
Is he on Hannity tonight? All right. Well then, Richard.
I interviewed a group of the Tuskegee Airmen.
Oh, that's great.
awesome.
That is
That was
great.
very It was. They blew me away.
I would say Iggy Pop. It's about 15 years ago. That was pretty interesting. It's like 3 hours. I was drunk. All right. I was very nervous, very nervous. All right. Bradley Stein. It sounds familiar. If there was a yearbook superlatives edition of the 5, you would be most likely to what? Well, this is like a great game show. All right. Did I go to you for?
Yes, you did.
All right. I think this is the longest Facebook segment ever, Jesse. What's most likely to what?
I know hers. Most likely to get bleeped.
Yeah. Adult edition.
Now do him.
Yeah, now do this.
Most likely to read a book.
Very funny.
It's not nice to make fun of someone who can't read, Dana.
Yes.
Yes. It's amazing he got this far.
I know.
He's like a made-for-TV movie. Richard?
Best dressed.
Oh.
Wow.
There you go, Dagan.
Well, since it's the first time I've been on the show, most likely to get asked back a second time.
I have to take issue with best dressed. Before we got out here, Richard was wearing overalls, okay, with a T-shirt, and then one of the overall straps was like coolly hanging off the side. I don't know if
looked
that's
amazing.
the best dressed.
It looked amazing.
Were they shorts, though? If
No,
they're-
no. They
Oh,
were
okay,
regular
then that's
overalls.
fine.
Do you have short overalls?
No.
Okay.
I do have a male romper though.
You have a male romper.
Romper.
Oh,
All right.
no.
Sean Connery wore a male romper in Goldfinger.
My male romper's
that's
pretty
okay.
nice.
I'm most likely to burn a male romper in a fire. All right.
I'll buy you one, Greg. I'm
Oh,
buying
thank
you a male romper.
I already
for
own
Christmas.
like a unicorn romper. That's enough for me. One more thing up next. Fan Mail Friday. It's polka, polka, polka. All right, the first question from Karen K. This is such a great question. I have to go to Jesse first on
Oh,
this
no.
one. Because you have a hangover. If you were on the front page of the newspaper, what would the headline be?
In a major upset, Waters wins the presidency.
The presidency of what, though? That's what I'm worried about. Dana?
How about in a major upset, Perino fired for her potty mouth?
Dagan?
A woman arrested for stabbing the tires of all 4 vehicles when individual cuts woman off.
Road rage. Don't cut you off.
All right. What's yours?
Fowler finishes first. An alliteration.
Oh, very good.
Always good for headlines.
Mine would be a local man arrested for walking dog without a dog. All right. Frenchie World.
She gets a question every time.
Oh, you recognize the people.
I do.
Well, Jesse
has good questions.
Jesse has a photographic mind. What question would you ask a fortune teller, Dagan?
If I eat this spaghetti, am I going to have a stomachache tomorrow?
Well, that's a good one. Mine would be, well, I get the runs.
Okay.
I need a fortune teller for my stomach, Richard. How about you?
Oh.
You know me.
Come back to me on this one. I have to think.
No passing in this
Wow,
game
no
show.
passing.
There's no
You gotta
passing.
squirm live. Let's go.
You need to play more video games.
Everybody be quiet.
What color will I wear on Monday?
Oh, wow.
Easy.
Dana?
I think, will I retire by age 55?
Ooh, interesting.
wanna
So it's
know
about
that.
3 years away. We'll be right back. No, I'm kidding.
Dana, you don't look at you don't look at day over 22.
Yeah.
Yes. Jesse?
Well done. I would not ask a fortune teller anything. I'm terrified of fortune tellers. I don't trust them, and I'm scared of
Well,
them because
I
I don't want them to tell me something
Also, I just said
bad.
this, I don't believe any of it.
Yeah.
I don't believe them either.
No.
You know, I would ask a fortune teller, what time do you get off work?
Do you think they'd know?
I don't know. If they don't, they're not very good at their job, are they? If they don't know when they're getting off off. Like, could be a busy night. I don't know. And you're a phony. That's the trick question
I
you
just thought you were
asked them.
until he'd be rich because he'd be able to know what was happening. Like,
Yeah, that's why they're always dressed poorly.
Yes.
Fortune tellers should be like zillionaires. Anyway, it's good. It's a good thing to do on a first date. You know, you're walking down the street, you sit down.
That's not a good thing. No,
Yeah.
Greg, that's not a good thing on a first date.
Really?
Guys.
You save so much money.
Not a good thing on a first
No.
date. Don't do it.
So, the questions you could ask anyway. Christine D. about the date. Anyway, what sound or noise do you hate?
So many.
I know what you hate. You hate when my phone pings during the show.
Oh, the pinging doesn't bother me because it's not constant, but anyone who has iPhone clicks, like
Yeah.
you can hear that. I don't like listening to people type. I don't like listening to people gum, chewing. I don't
Ugh.
like listening to their headphones when you can kind of hear the music, but not really. I don't like people tapping their pens. I don't like people
Kicking the table?
when they have change in their pocket.
Oh, I love that.
hate that.
The sound of money. Oh, that makes me hot. I'm a capitalist. Jiggle that change. Richard?
I actually have an answer for this one.
Yeah.
The sound of chewing watercress.